be showing the action tool here. Started off just call it. Same setup as everything else. We just get the from position when it's clicked down, the to position when the mouse is released. This first if statement just checks if the click is in the world size, and then this click tests to see if the click down position is the same as the lift up, and also checking to make sure that the shift is clicked. Then we get a holder unit and just check and see if it's an archer, and if it is, then we call the archer fort function and show that it has fortified. If not, and it's a settler, then we call settler city, and then just say that the settler has settled into a city. So we'll go ahead and show that action right now. So we can just click on red, nothing happens, shift click, archer is fortified, click on the settler, but nothing happens, and then shift click, and it changes into a city. Be showing the unit move tool. So we call it right here, editor game, pass through. Then we'll go into the mouse down, and this is just getting the from value, which is just the position whenever the mouse is clicked. Then the mouse up, we get a to position, which is where the mouse ends up after it's released from the click. And then we're going to just get a unit and check and see if there actually is a unit there. So if there is, then we can just pass into the this function, and then that means we'll call the mouse up and then call move unit and just get the from the to position. And within move unit, that'll just check and make sure that it's not trying to move over a mountain. It's not trying to move more than one unit. So it's only the ones in its vicinity and also valid tiles. And then we'll just show that unit move from and then where it's going to. So even if the user tries to click from one position and moves to an invalid position, it will still say that unit moved from, but the actual graphic will not update because the graphic only updates if the actual grid of units updates. Okay, so I'll just go and show that. So I will just first try to move the settler over the mountain to show that it can't. Even though it says that it did, it actually didn't. It's just nulling that. So then I'll just move to, or I'll also try to move far away. So see, it cannot do that. But if I try to just move diagonal, that works. And then if I try to move again, that will not work because it ran out of moves. And then we can just also show that this archer will also move, but not more than once. So thanks. So this one's pretty simple. It's just the end of turn tool. So right here we just call it and pass editor and game through. Then mouse down, we get the from position, and that's just where the mouse is clicked. And then the to position, which is where the mouse is released. And then I'm going to set this variable for the end of turn button, just so we have exactly what grid that is on. Then we're going to check if to and from are equal, and this is just to make sure that I'm clicking on the same spot. I'm not clicking and dragging then lifting up. And then we're also going to check that the final position is at the end of the turn button, which we defined above. So if all this is true, then we're going to go call game end of turn, and then just show that is the end of the turn. So I'll just show that real quickly here. So here's the game, and then this is the shield that we're clicking on to end the turn. So I'll just click, and it increments the age, and then we can just keep clicking, and the color will switch, and the end of turn is still called, and the time decrements after each player makes their desired move.
I will be going over some of the tools that we've implemented for iteration 8 and the mini draw tool. So to start with our set focus tool, within the show set focus class, we replaced the tool to be this set focus tool where we define down here based off of the location. Basically, we get the location from the GFX constants, get position from, and then based off of this position variable, we test to see if this click is within the boundaries of the game board, and if it is, we call our set tile focus um, function within our game impl, and then the observers that we've added will then call the tile focus changed at in the sieve drawing. And then here this sort of handles if there's a unit at the position, it'll get the owner, it'll get the move count, and just sort of update the graphics for those as long as there is a unit there. So that's our test here if it's not null. And then same thing for if there's a city at the position, it'll get the city owner, it'll get the treasury for it, it'll get whatever it's producing, whether it's the apple or the hammer, um, and then once again go through and update all of the respective icons. Um, and then down here, this is just sort of the editor showing the status at the bottom of the game, just to say like you selected a city, you selected a unit at this certain position. If there is no unit or city selected, it just says what tile you selected, and no information will be stored or shown. Um, and then otherwise, if the user selects something off the playboard, the editor just says please select the tile on the grid. So if we run the Gradle, um, when we select something that doesn't have a unit or a city, it just says please select a populated tile. Um, and then up here, you selected unit to view at 0, 7. This unit is of red. It has one move left. I'll select a blue city. It's a blue city. It produces units, and then since there's no turns, it has a balance of 0. Same for the red city. Um, and then the red settler, as well as the blue archer. Um, so this is our show updating tool. This just sort of goes through a scripted little game just to show the functionality. So since red always starts, red will move its archer to a position. It'll move its settler, turn the game over to blue. Blue will then attack the archer that red moved. Um, Blue will then turn it over to red. Um, then case 5 starts to show the unit action or the unit actions. So the settler will then turn to a city. We'll then inspect that city just to show that it is a city object and not a unit anymore. And then we will also inspect the other red city just to show that there are two different objects and that the production is working, because the production for the first red city would work, and then since the settler just turned into a city, it should have no production. Then red will turn it over to blue. Blue will move its archer um, next to the city, the new red city, turn it over to red. We will then inspect the blue unit and then turn it back over to blue, and then inspect the unit again just to show that the moves have been reset um, for every round. And then blue will attack the city, the city that was previously a settler. So if we just run through this, I'll drag this over here just so we can go through the steps. So red will move its 2 units as such, then turn it over to blue. Blue will then attack this archer, um, turn it over to red. This settler will now become a city. We will then inspect this city over here, and then we will inspect the other city at 0, 6, and to show that this balance of 6 has increased since a round has passed. It'll then go over to blue. Blue will move its archer, and then at this point, these 2 cities will produce their units. And since this is a tile that is unable to be occupied by units, this blue city will occupy a unit at the next available. Now it's red's turn. We will inspect the unit, this archer, at 1, 7, turn it back over to blue, and then inspect it once more just to show that these moves have been reset. And then this archer will attack the city, and it is now blue. Moving on to the composition tool. The composition tool once again gets the position of like the click or the drag or whatever, and goes through different checks. So first we check if that click is within this end of turn button um, area. So, and if it is, we set a tool to be end of turn tool. Um, and in the constructor of the composition tool, we have just a new null tool that we can play with. So we set that to the end of turn tool. If there's a city at this position, we set the set focus tool because that's just a click, and then same for the unit. However, since the unit has more functionality than a city, if the shift button is currently being pressed, it will call the action tool. So like the settler to the city, fortifying the archer. And then down here, the mouse drag, mouse move implements the moving of the units. And then the moving of the units also handles the attacking. So that is sort of how we go through and set the tool. So if we go into comp, since it's red's turn, I can move this unit around, move this settler to the right, and then since these have already used their moves, they can't move anywhere else. I am clicking, but once we turn it over to blue, the blue archer can then move around. We can inspect the cities and the different archers as such. The blue archer does not have any moves left, but now since the turn or the round has ended, these red units um, now have moves. We can turn it back over to red to now show. I'll shift click the settler to show that it now goes to a city. I can move the archer down there, and then this round should produce those units as before. Click or not, but then this blue archer can move, and now these cities have been produced. And then since this is a blue, I can move it as such, and these moves have now left. And then since this is a new unit, it has a move left. And once again, we can move everything, and then back over to blue, it can attack this archer. So yeah, thank you.
I'm going to be showing off the semi-sieve, and that is the last step of this project, and that's just the composition tool using. And the composition tool just has all of the functionality of the game, which implements all of the action, the move, set focus, turn, that kind of stuff. So I'll just go ahead and show it off here. So we'll start out as the red team. So I will just go ahead and move. You can see it move there. We can call end of turn. If I'm on blue, I can click, show off different things, showing what, you know, what the focus is, all the how many moves you have left. So we can go. I'll move this, check, and we'll shift click to turn into a city, like that. Change turn. And then we can attack. So I'll go, or blue, so I'll go to attack here. And as you can see, the city's made a new archer because that's what their production is. We'll go and switch, and then we can attack here. And there we can see that it did actually populate that tile. And yeah, that's the game.